Oilerslive podcast. Oilerslive podcast.
Now, get ready to talk hockey. Streaming from the Oilers Live Studio. Subscribe or follow today.
Hey, it's Michael here at Oilers Live with a early edition for Game 4 preview of the Stanley Cup Final between none other than the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers. I've got I don't even know if we can call you guest anymore, but regular co-host Patrick, Oilers fanatic, with me tonight. The rest of the guys may or may not drop in. We'll see. Good to see everybody out there. Some strangers already in the chat. Welcome to the chat. Patrick, how are you doing?
Pretty good. Enjoying vacation so far. Just got back from the beach, visited some family here in London, Ontario. So, yeah, have a good week so far.
Home of the Memorial Cup winning London Knights.
Right? It was, yes. I was at their store today. Was hoping to get a Memorial Cup champions hat, but of course they were all sold out. So I'm going to have to wait. But there was another hat waiting for me when I returned to Guelph.
Nice.
This beautiful one here.
Show that one off. Heavy hockey hat.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. And hey, look at that. Tonight's show exclusive. The heavy hockey hat cap there. $55 includes shipping. If you want it, reach out to me in the chat or otherwise, and we'll see if we can get you a heavy hockey cap. It's got all of the podcasts, 99 Forever, Tough Call, Oilers Fanatic, and of course Oilers Live, all on there. Nice little hat.
Everything you need.
Everything you need. Everything you need. All right. Well, we're here to talk hockey, though. Let's talk some hockey. Oilers down 2-1. We're gonna get into that. I want to first go. I mean, this is kind of the way. All right, we've already got somebody joining in. We've got Bob the goalie joining from his truck. he's on location.
That's right. Coming off a monumental slow pitch loss. Yeah, you betcha. So I'm fired up.
I bet. Yeah. Well, we've seen some monumental losses lately, so we'll talk about that.
Nice segue.
Yeah, good segue. We're going to get into it, though, first. Patrick, for those tuning in, those that have been around, Patrick is the Oilers fanatic. You find him on YouTube at... Where do we
Oilers
find
Fanatic YT.
Oilers Fanatic YT on YouTube. Yeah. And Patrick's going to give us the rundown on what's going on with the Oilers. It's been another one of those weird sort of multiple day breaks. So what can you tell us?
Well, it looks like we're going to see a couple possible changes going into Game 4. The talk is that John Klingberg is coming to come out, and Troy Stecher is going to return to the lineup on defense. Head coach Chris Knobloch wasn't willing to confirm who his starter is one way or another yet, so it looks like we're going to have to wait for that one till tomorrow. And the other lineup news is Ryan Nugent-Hopkins remains a game-time decision once again. So if Ryan Nugent-Hopkins can't go, we are very likely to see Jeff Skinner enter this series, and he's been skating with Connor McDavid and Corey Perry. So the defensive pairings have pretty much stayed the same. They've moved them around a little bit, but I think we're going to have to wait until game time tomorrow to see officially what we're getting. But possibly Jeff Skinner coming in, possibly Troy Stecher, and the starter is still up in the air.
All right. I mean, Mr. Game 4, do we have to put him in? Do we not? We're going to talk about that. We got Bob the goalie here. So I'm sure no doubt he's going to have some goaltender advice to give for the Oilers tonight.
Advice.
Let's start. Let's start with game 3. I mean, we've already got some stranger in the chat saying we're going to talk about the shit show. I mean, there's only one show that fits that bill, and that's game 3. Edmonton Oilers lose, of course, 6-1 to the Florida Panthers. In I don't know, like, do you call it a spirited affair? Maybe on the penalty sheet, it was was it the third most penalty minutes in a Stanley Cup Finals game? Was that what it was?
140 total penalty minutes. 140.
140. All right. So, Bob, we got you in the truck driving. We get to see how good of a driver you are.
Well, if you want action, you got it now.
That's right. That's right. This is like live. We get to see Bob. He's he's on his way probably to some Oilers house or whatever to interview on the interview on the fly. Bob, what's your thoughts on Game 3? Give us the idea here. What did you think about the Oilers? Good, bad, ugly? Thoughts?
Well, first off, I'm on my way to my fan club meeting. So,
Yeah,
forgive me if you start hearing the screaming girls in the background. And it's funny how we talked about how Game 3 was a shit show when heavy hockey, whenever I'm on, becomes the Schmidt show. So the segue here is appropriate.
Yeah, they're very close. I mean, sorry. I mean,
I think like you listen to the guys talk and their the interviews yesterday. It was what it was. I think the game's probably different if we make it 2-1, but then Florida scores right off the bat and makes it 3-1, and now it automatically just seems like we're fighting a losing battle. And I think at that point, the emotions, the frustrations get the better of you. But I didn't mind that because that is kind of Florida's game. They are the kind of the aggressor and that team that kind of walks the line or skates the line, whatever. So I didn't mind the Oilers pushing back and maybe using this game as a message sender, saying we won't get pushed around. It was kind of a throwaway game when it came to actual game itself. But hopefully now we got it out of our system. We've shown the opposition that we're not a bunch of pussies. And but now we need to start playing Oiler hockey. That really isn't our style of hockey. Not in a way that we can win and we can absorb punishment and dish out punishment, but it's not a winning formula for the Oilers. That's how Florida wins. We need to play Oiler hockey, not Panther hockey.
yeah, I mean, I couldn't disagree with that. Patrick, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree 100% with Bob there. We completely went away from our identity. We were trying to play down to the level of the Panthers, their kind of hockey game, and we're just not built that way. We have some more tough guys come playoff run here with Evander Kane, Trent Frederick, guys like that, but that's not the game that we've been successful with that's got us to this point. They need to get back to their own identity, rolling 4 lines, the strong defense. Like, that game just was a complete joke of a hockey game to me. That was not the Edmonton Oilers playing. That was the Florida Panthers and probably their AHL team trying to emulate them on the ice. It was just a complete joke. So, yeah, no, I agree 100% with Bob there.
I'd go so far as to say that was probably the Oilers' worst game of these playoffs so far.
Worst game of the year, I think.
Yeah, it was. I mean, from a pure hockey standpoint, right? Like, this was, there was nothing good about it, right?
No.
But at some point, do you think, like, what's your thoughts on this? Do you think the Oilers realize this game's not theirs to take, and they're just going to try to, exact some punishment against the Panthers? Like, did anybody get upset when Frederick breaks his stick on Bennett's back? I mean, is that just bad hockey, or is that the guy saying like, screw it, we're down and now's the time to play a little bit of beer league type of hockey and let's move on to the next one?
I don't really like it. That's not us. I mean, I get getting frustrated and wanting to lash out and stuff like that, and the game, like you pointed out, was out of hand at that point. But I don't like seeing my team do that. That's just not who we are.
I didn't mind it for this game because the game was getting out of hand. It definitely seemed like a game that
Truck stopped.
wasn't winnable for us already at this point. I didn't. How about now?
We lost you for a minute. Yeah, no, we got you now. Yeah.
That's the best part of Oilerslive. Whenever you beat
there.
That's the best part of Oilerslive. Whenever you lose me for a bit. But
right, yeah.
I didn't. The game seemed unwinnable. We seemed to be like we never really grasped the concept of Oilers hockey in that game. So I didn't mind the Panthers, tasting a bit of their own medicine, kind of thing. I agree with you, Patrick, in a sense that that's not the game I wanted to see them play all the time. But if it's a game we're not going to win, dish it out a little bit, send a bit of a message, and then get back to Oilers hockey for Game 4.
Yeah, like I look at this. You're right, Patrick. This is not the team that we've grown to love and watch playing hockey, right? That's not Oilers style of hockey.
No.
But you got to, at some point, right? The game gets out of hand. And you might as well get your frustrations out, right? Like you might as well, take a couple shots. And there's nothing the Oilers did, screw you, Panthers fans, for thinking otherwise. But this team didn't do anything that the Panthers haven't done to the Oilers in games 1 and 2, or through the series last year. Like, if you think that Frederick breaking his stick over Bennett's back is even remotely close to Bennett falling on Stuart Skinner twice, like, no, it's, Bennett is the one player in the league that continues to injure goalies. Is it just pure luck that happens? No, it's, purposeful, right? Like it's, there's nothing, you can't, you just can't call like the Oilers dirty and not call the Panthers dirty too. It is what it is, right? Like the Oilers came out, they that first goal is so vital, and they didn't get it, and they just seemed to fall apart right away, right? There was a little bit of life after the Corey Perry goal, but that's all it was a little bit of life, and the Oilers didn't have it. There's a couple things though they've got to really work on. Like they are, like any team that's met with the Florida Panthers so far, they're having a hard time with the forecheck.
Yeah.
Right? Like the Oilers have shown that they can adjust all series long or all playoffs long. Can they adjust now? Is Stetcher, what do you guys think about these changes? And would you start Skinner for Game 4? Maybe Bob, I'll start with you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Bob, we're gonna
Game.
We might have to wait on you, Bob. We can't hear you. I'm gonna throw him on
he
mute
is Mr. Game 4 statistically. I don't see him at fault.
Hey, Bob, we're gonna throw you on mute
for either one of these losses.
Okay, I shut Bob off for a minute. We'll get him back. We'll try to get Bob back on. And
Yeah.
all
Hey.
right, maybe a question over to you, Patrick, while we wait till Bob gets. We'll give him a minute. He'll get into a better zone where he's at before he gets home and logs back in. But go for it. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I've been kind of going back and forth with starting Calvin Pickard or Stuart Skinner. You're right, Stuart Skinner is Mr. Game 4, and as Indignant Beaver was pointing out in the chat there, I think that's what Bob was trying to say there. At the same time, I feel like a bit of a reset is needed. I mean, I guess we can give Skinner maybe one more game, but at the same time, if they lose that one, they're down 3-1. You're in a really precarious position. So I'm kind of leaning towards starting Calvin Pickard in my own personal opinion, but I have a feeling they're going to stick with Stuart Skinner and go with him in game 4. And Skinner has played amazing to this point. I'm not trying to knock him anytime, but yeah, my guess, I'm leaning towards Pickard, but I think it's going to be Skinner. I like bringing in Troy Stetcher potentially because he really steadies Darnell Nurse, and I think that's going to help Nurse's game. John Klingberg hasn't looked the same the last couple of games for the Oilers after being one of their better defensemen in Vegas and Dallas. So I like bringing in Troy Stetcher just for the overall effect that he has, and he was playing really well beforehand.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what's your feeling though on Klingberg's game? I mean, he's been good in he was good in the Dallas series.
Yeah.
But so far, games 1 through 3.
Yeah, he just doesn't seem to be. Maybe Florida's just a different opponent for him that he can't handle quite as well. Like we said, they're a much harder forechecking team. They're far more physical. It might just be Klingberg is an older player. It might just be a bit too much for him right now. So it might be better suited to a guy like Troy Stetcher. And also, I didn't mention as well with Jeff Skinner potentially coming in. He's got points in both the games that he showed up for in these playoffs. So the Oilers are in basically a must-win situation in game 4. So if Nuge can't go, I'd be excited to see what Jeff Skinner can potentially do here as well.
Yeah. Okay, Bob. You look comfortable, relaxed. I think we got you. We got you in a good zone there. All right, from the Escalade, let us know.
From the private jet.
From the private jet, the Maybach.
Yeah. I was listening to what you were saying, Patrick. Stuart Skinner for me. I think he's earned it. I don't put the 2 losses on him. I think it'd be nice to get a couple more saves for sure. But like last game, he was definitely a product of the environment that was in front of him. And then the game before that, I mean, it's double overtime. It's like that's just one of those, a coin flip game at that point. I didn't think he let in a bad goal in that double overtime game. We just defensively broke down. We gave up 3 breakaways in that game. We gave up another one this last game, and that's the kind of stuff that's kind of unacceptable at this point. They're giving up these clear-cut breakaways, unimpeded for the most part. Pickard looked pretty good when he came in relief. I didn't mind them throwing him in there just to get some shots in case he does become an option. He doesn't come in just cold. So would I be? I'm not against Pickard starting next game, but I do think at this point, until Skinner shows you blatantly otherwise, he's the guy you're riding.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that, right? Like you're here. It's game 4. You're down 2-1, and one of those games is in a overtime goal that I thought the Oilers were the better team in overtime in game 2. I thought the game itself was pretty evenly played. Like I thought there were stretches, which we've seen in every game where Florida dominated, and stretches where we've seen the Oilers dominate. And game 2 was no different. You're right. 50-50 coin flip. And if it goes the Oilers' way, which it could have about a half dozen times during that overtime, it's 2-0 going into Florida, and the Oilers got all the confidence in the world. Instead, it's a guy that you love to hate in Marchand, and it's in the kind of way that you hate to lose games, right? So you go into Florida and then they score first. That's just momentum, rearing its head. Like that's how series change. Like a series changes overnight. The Oilers have to come out and score first, but I think they got to go with the guy that's been over the last series and a bit. He's been the guy that has got the Oilers here. We've had our run-ins with Skinner as fans where we think he's the worst goalie in the league, but then he's come back and he's like, is there a better comeback goalie right now? He's the guy I want in net right now. I can't believe I'm saying that after the first two games of the playoffs, but he is legitimately the guy I want in net. And he's still maintained his calm, cool attitude. And I expect that to come in game 4. I also expect Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl to have probably the best games of their life.
Draisaitl had zero shots on net last game. I mean, that's his worst game of the playoffs, without a doubt.
Like they talk about comeback guys, though, right? Like those guys never have 2 bad games in a row.
No.
I do like the potential of Stetcher coming in. I think Klingberg's had a good playoffs. I think the style that Florida plays actually goes against Klingberg. I mean, number one, Klingberg must have absorbed the most hits of any Oiler yet in these finals. He puts himself in positions to get hit a lot. He's a good puck mover, but he hasn't been able to do that because of Florida's forecheck. So this might be more on the line where Stetcher's a bit tougher along the boards, a bit more grittier. Maybe he could do some more damage because Florida's actually taken the strength of Klingberg away at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about playing your old team, right? Like, look at Rantanen playing Colorado, right? Like, it's just next level. He almost won the scoring race in one series, right? Playing his old team. Guys, they love that. They love it's not hard to get up to play a game like that, right? And so Klingberg against Dallas, you expect him to have a good series, right? He's got something to prove. Florida's a whole different team, right? Like this is, in fact, there's the Oilers haven't played a team like Florida the whole playoffs, but I'd counter that Florida has not played a team like Edmonton the whole playoffs. All right, bringing in reinforcements. We've got Connor Brown in the
the one and only.
Never gets old. I mean, I love the playoff beard. Love it. But if the Oilers lose again,
coming
then
nicely,
you
I
gotta
think.
shave it. Yeah. Well, welcome, Lotsie. We're just talking about the possibility of Stetcher coming in and whether you play Skinner or you play Pickard in game 4. Quick thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys caught the piece I did on Heavy Hockey yesterday. I called it the most important change the Oilers can make for Game 4, but it was Stetcher coming into the lineup for John Klingberg. I think that Klingberg is just a little bit too slow for the series. He's been outscored 5-1 at 5-on-5 in the 3 games, including 3-0 in Game 3. To be fair to him, a couple of those weren't fully his fault. I mean, the scramble on the first goal, yeah, things happen sometimes. It was a bit of a mess, hard to identify any one player. And Barkov kind of pushed him into the referee. If the ref's not there, maybe that's not a goal. And the other one, it was just a bad decision by Ekholm to try to cut to the net from the point, and Podkolzin was high and tried to pass it across the zone, across the blue line, and got picked off, and Bennett scores a breakaway goal. Not necessarily Klingberg's fault, but the reality is his feet just aren't quick enough. Like his edge work is fantastic. He's a smooth, fluid skater, but we need someone with a little bit more quick acceleration, and we have that with Stetcher. And Stetcher moves the puck just fine. And it'd be nice if we can get someone to stabilize Nurse a little bit. So those are all the reasons I'd bring in Stetcher.
Well thought out. I put the link in the top corner there to the most important change the Oilers can make for Game 4. And yeah, it's hard to argue with that, right? Like, and Stetcher's been good. I mean, we talked, as on right here on Oilers Live, we talked about the possibility of the Oilers going 11-7 just so they could keep Stetcher in, right? It's a bit of a shame
I
that
don't hate that as well.
they took him out.
Like, there's a lot of merit to that, just to try to get Connor and Leon away from some of the matchups against the Panthers, right? Like, the Oilers have 2 5-on-5 goals in the 5 games that have been played in Florida over the last 2 Stanley Cup Finals. McDavid and Draisaitl have done very little in Florida, and call it what you want, right? Maybe they've done a really good job of line matching against those guys, but for whatever reason, they've been fine at home, but can't get it done in Florida. So maybe 11-7 gives them a chance to double shift those 2 superstars a little bit more, get them away from some matchups, give them a little space. Maybe something happens. I don't hate that decision either.
Patrick, you look like you got something to say. Something's burning a hole in that microphone right there. By the way, nice microphone.
Thank you. No, I was just going to say, yeah, with Nuge potentially a game time decision, that does give them the opportunity to do that, although be kind of rough on Jeff Skinner, his chance to get back in. He doesn't get back in again, but I mean, got to do what's best for the team, and I'm sure he wouldn't complain about that.
Yeah.
I personally would still put Skinner in to replace Nuge on that top line. If Nuge can't go, I'd take somebody off that 4th line, whether it's Pat Colson or Arvidsson, and then
I guess you do that too. Yeah.
I think we have more leeway on the forward line to drop guys as opposed to our D-men. Like, our D-men have played strong for the most part as a group. I think we're still lacking stuff from Frederick and even Yamark, to be honest. I think those guys are a bit more expendable maybe than some of our guys on the back line or on the back. I wonder if Frederick has served his purpose. I mean, this was the kind of the game 3 where you're saying your message, the game's a runaway, you're just trying to do some damage kind of thing. He really hasn't brought too much else to the table yet in these playoffs. And when I say yet, I mean, we only have a few games left. So how long are we going to wait on him? Jeff Skinner probably at this point has more to offer in this game in this series than Trent Frederick.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. I mean, that's Frederick got his licks in, and now it's time. He hasn't. He just. I don't know if it's still coming back from injury or whatever, but there's been very few times where I've looked at Frederick and thought, we really need this guy in the lineup, right? Like, this is. The best play he's had was breaking his stick. Right? Like, how do we get, like, when you're talking about hockey players, how do you talk about that? Right.
I was just gonna say a quick sidebar on Trent Frederick. There was a report like yesterday from Elliot Freeman that the Oilers are working on a long-term deal with Frederick, possibly using the Nick Paul example, $2-3 million for like a 7-8 year deal. So he might be a long-term Edmonton Oiler there. Just not for the season.
Cap it, it's fine, and I think we're starting to see a lot more of that model now. There was a video that Sarah Valley put out the other day. It's as close to cap circumvention as you can possibly get without it being cap circumvention. He had his reasoning, and I didn't fully agree. But worst case, you can trade that contract at that AAV at the end in the last couple 2-3 years, right? So it's not, you don't like that term, but it's not going to hamper us long term, I don't think, if that's the case.
No, and I think Trent Frederick's the kind of guy that can morph into a decent like 4th line guy eventually if you need it. So if you have him down at that price point, even long term, and like you said, that's a contract that as the cap keeps going up, it's going to become even less and less and less important. So yeah, I wouldn't have a huge problem.
And think of what we paid to get him, right? It was a 2nd and a 4th, and we lost a couple prospects in that exchange. So if you get a guy that can be a part of your group for multiple years, then I'm more okay with it. I still don't love that deal based on the way it's worked out and what we paid to get him. But if he's going to be a part of the solution here for a long time, then I'm more okay with it. I mean,
I
the
don't think
second
we.
rounder, if you get a guy that can be on your team for 5, 6 years, that's a win usually, right?
Yeah, and I don't think we've seen what he can be yet. Like he's came in
Wow.
injured and he's not been close to 100% since we got him. So we could potentially have a much better player than we realize.
I
That's
agree with that.
totally fair.
I agree with
They've
that
been saying that
100%.
about me for a long time.
I don't think Fredericks has had enough time to really gel with his teammates, and now he's thrown into the fire in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And let's face it, he's not an Evander Kane. His style of play is kind of a bit more one-dimensional than what Kane has to offer, and he just hasn't really found his groove. I also wonder if Frederick is finding the stage a bit big at the moment, especially with kind of a lack of experience he's had with the Oilers team. I wonder if he feels a bit overwhelmed in times there with in these finals.
I don't even know if it's just the finals. Like I don't feel he's been any worse than he's been throughout the whole playoffs,
Fair,
which has
yeah.
been kind of invisible, right? So maybe it's been a stage fright thing from game one, but I think it's more related to the injury than anything.
Yeah,
And like
I
when
don't
you're
think he's been
struggling
awful.
and
He
like
just
when it's not
hasn't
going
been.
well for you, it's hard to get going again, right? Like it takes a lot of effort and some things going right for you. It's hard to dig yourself out of that grind.
I don't think he's been awful though. I just don't think he's been influential. Like he hasn't done anything. He's not, changed anything about the Oilers play. Like we could have Skinner come in. When Skinner plays, he does stuff, right? Like he's scoring goals. He's moving around. Like it's something different. And the Oilers need something different right now, right? Especially after last game. And I think when you say something different, you don't want to make too many changes, right? Because there's a style of play that has got you here, and you don't want to like change everything about what you do, but make a couple little adjustments. That's what Knobloch's been doing all playoffs. But
Well,
he
there's a
hates
style of play that's got you
he hates
there,
Skinner.
and we didn't play that style last game, though.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I don't know how much the thought on line matchups. That's an interesting one, right? Like how that's affected the Oilers, what they can do. Maybe the 11-7 is a good strategy to employ against this team. It's hard to say, especially this time of year, how much of you can read into practices, etc. Coaches are always playing everything. They're changing everything. Yeah, the Oilers got to make some changes. They have to. That first goal is so vital, right? That they get back to that. That's been their success through the Dallas series, and then game one and game two. I thought game two was a successful game, other than the outcome, right? Like that's and it's But the other thing that I think everybody's got to kind of sit back and understand is it's 2-1.
Yeah.
The Oilers needed a split. That's all they needed in Florida, just like Florida needed a split in Edmonton.
Yeah.
This is, it's
Well,
not, this is probably the most important. Well, it is the most important game, right?
yeah. Well, game
It's the most
5,
important
game
game
7
until
in
the next
Edmonton.
one.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we got 2 of the last 3 at home if they get the win here. So.
Yeah, and it's it's going to be exciting, and they've had a couple of games that or a couple nights that they can work on some adjustments. Some strangers talking about Henrique. What do you guys think about Henrique's game so far? Ryan?
I don't think he's been costing us, but he hasn't been hurt. He hasn't been moving the needle either. Yeah, he's got the good point on the faceoffs there. He was really good in the faceoffs. I believe it was game 3. He won like 7 in a row at one point, close to 65% for the game. He was really good there. Coming in as a guy who was playing top 6 minutes in Anaheim right before the trade, I was hoping we'd be able to see some of that offense trickle down into a third line role. Just hasn't come. I think he's been decent defensively, but we know at his age he doesn't have the same boots he used to. So he's going to have his off nights. But yeah, I don't know. I'm indifferent. I'm indifferent. He's just kind of there.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd say he's only been good in faceoffs. He's had some games where he's looked good, but the challenge with Henrique, and we talked about this early on, and after game 1 and game 2 is outside of the top 2 lines, the Oilers are getting worked, right? Like that's the difference being is that McDavid and Draisaitl, are that much better than everybody else. Right. And but we need something more. Like that's kind of go back to that Frederick thing. Like we just need something more. We got to have a win in that bottom 6. And we haven't had that yet. What about special teams? I mean, we haven't talked about special teams either. Go ahead, Patrick. You had something to talk about.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to go back to Henrique. Like he hasn't been very noticeable, right? And to your point, we haven't seen the depth scoring that we've seen in other series so far. It's been really Draisaitl coming through, Corey Perry coming through, and last game nobody really came through aside from Corey Perry. So we got to see more from guys that in the bottom 6. That's how we're going to get back control of this series.
And Connor Brown, I joke about Ryan looking like Connor Brown, but
he does.
Yeah, but we haven't had playoff Connor Brown since he got injured.
No.
And it's noticeable, right? Like this is a guy that all through last year's playoffs, was a difference maker. He's the guy, one of those heart and soul guys in the playoffs. And he was, until he got injured, he was that guy again. Right? But he hasn't, there's just, I don't know. He hasn't come back the same. But I can't, and it's one of those funny things where I can't put my finger on what it is. It's just he's not the same.
He's just not cute anymore.
He's just not cute anymore. That's right. He's just not the only one with that look anymore. You've stolen his soul, Ryan. Stolen his soul. Well, Ryan, you're a stats guy. Is there anything in the stats that sort of talk about what's going on with Brown?
Honestly, I haven't looked that closely at it, but from looking at the post-game reports on Natural Stat Trick, there haven't been many guys that have been looking a real positive on the stat chart, especially games 2 and 3. We got to realize too that third line's going up, a real strong third line in Marchand, Lundell, and Lutzerainen, right? Like that's a tough matchup for that third line. No matter what we do, they're gonna have a tough matchup, and it's either them or the fourth line that's generally gonna have the tough matchup there, right? Because they have a really good third line. So, and I don't know what Connor Brown's injury is. He was a little banged up before that big hit from Petrovic, where maybe concussion. I don't know. So he's definitely far from 100%. Probably not moving quite as quick as he once was earlier in the playoffs. And yeah, that makes life more difficult for sure.
Yeah, it goes back to that bottom 6. Like we need a win there somehow.
We aren't getting killed there though. That's I think Marchand has 2 goals and we've got 1 goal from our bottom 6. That's all that there's been in the series from both sides. There's only been 3 bottom 6 goals either way. So maybe there's an opportunity there. Like I don't think Florida's fourth line is like that dynamic. They're strong and physical, but I don't think they bring a lot of offense. So maybe there's a chance for somebody to step up against that fourth line. I mean, limited minutes to have a good matchup against, but it's something.
You know what? Line matchups be damned. We just have been getting the contributions from our bottom six here in the finals, as we have been throughout the rest of the playoffs. I mean, game three is kind of a wash in regards to there were so much special teams that are a lot of our bottom six guys didn't really get a lot of quality ice time to a chance to make a difference. And then when they did get on the ice, they almost tried too much to make up for the fact they hadn't been on the ice for a while. So you saw guys forcing plays, making bad passes and bad reads because they were just out of rhythm of the game. I think that might be the difference maker coming into game four. I mean, if we stay out of the box, stay out of a special teams battle, give our depth players a chance to contribute, put them in situations where they have a chance to succeed. That's where the difference maker could be in this series. We haven't gotten it yet here in this final. We got it in the first 3 rounds. We need to get back to that kind of formula to help us win.
Yeah, there's been so many penalties in the first period the last couple of games. Like it gets everybody completely out of the rhythm of the hockey game. Like that's a great point, Bob. And it's hard to get everybody into the hockey game when you're spending so much time in the penalty box.
What works against the Oilers right now? Like
Yeah.
we're going to talk about special teams. Oilers PK has not been great this season for all playoffs, really. I mean, they've had stretches, but not consistently. And the power play just can't seem to beat Bobby. So I don't know. Like you can't. Yeah, you're right. Like it's disjointed, right? That the Oilers have to play this quick transition game, and it's hard to get that when there's all these penalties being called, and then what it works against them because nobody skates the line better than the Florida Panthers in period 2 and period 3, right? So you call all these you call this even penalty mix in the first period, and then the Panthers keep playing how they play in periods 2 and 3, and I'm left wondering, like, what am I watching? Right? There's no consistency to that. I'm not going to blame the officiating, but it's crap to watch hockey like that. Yeah, well, a little bit, of course. I do think that the officiating is not working in the Oilers' favor.
It's not
why
what they
they're-
lost. Yeah,
It's
not
not
what they
why
lost.
they're down 2-1.
Yeah.
But it's certainly like, it makes it less enjoyable to watch the game. Right?
I haven't seen many games where a team gets 11 power plays, but I really don't think any of the calls were that bad. I mean, the Darnell Nurse cross check to the back, it was a cross check to the back, whether you think he went down softly on that or not.
The Oilers deserved every penalty they got.
Yeah, that's just it. So, I mean, out of those 11, like 4 of them were in the first period, right? And only 4 of those were from that melee and onwards after the game got out of hand in garbage time. So there were still 7 other penalties that weren't attributed to that mess in the third period. That's just not good enough.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of frustration there, though, right? Like there's, which, look, the Oilers got to play through that. And I think hopefully they got it out of their system.
Hopefully, and I mean, yeah, I caught the beginning of the show where you guys were kind of talking about that a little bit. I love to see that pushback from the Oilers. Like I don't like when games get like that, but in this particular instance against this team, when you got guys like Sam Bennett flop on your goaltender, and he took out Stolars in the second round with a cheap little greasy punch to the head, subtle little punch you want to call it. You got Mikola slew-footing McDavid in game 1. Marchand slew-footing Bouchard at the end of game 1 as well. Marchand taking somebody's chin strap off in the middle of game 2, right? Like they're greasy. They do things like that. They thrive off of that stuff. So the Oilers got down and the game was over, and they gave them a taste of their own medicine and said, "Hey, we're not taking this." I like it. I think they needed to do that in that situation, but I don't want to see that continue. I want to see them be able to dictate the play with their puck movement.
Yeah, I'm kind of the opinion, like I'm all right with it. Like the game was over, right?
Yeah, the game was over.
Get it out of your system, move on. Let's go into game 4. I don't think it means anything. That's the thing, right? Like, I don't think that at the end of the day, like, I don't think that the Panthers are coming into game 4 feeling like, they're scared of the Oilers. And but I also think that the Oilers, now understand the level of discipline that they're going to have, right? And they had their chance. They took their, they took the opportunity. I don't know what I said to Bob, but, but he's gone. It's just like that. Bob
You just had to bring up the goaltending.
I had to bring up the goaltending. Yeah, I mean, I like too much. We're talking about it, but too much is being made about the Oilers playing the way they did in the third, right? Or all that happening.
Way too much. I don't know if you caught Reed Wilkins's rant on this topic yesterday.
No, I didn't.
It was epic.
Yeah. What was give us the gist of it, the summary.
Basically, like he's explaining, like, if he could go back and look at all the playoff games that he's seen in his lifetime that got out of hand like that and that ended the exact same way with the Goonery, like, he could have spent his whole show talking about it. And he's like, nobody feels upset for the Panthers. Like, he started doing this whiny crybaby voice, and it's like pity for Sam Bennett and the Panthers. Like, I can't do it justice. I'll embarrass myself even trying. Go watch it. Edmonton Sports Talk had it posted up.
Yeah, the
Twitter.
only thing it's done. The only thing it's done is allowed Panthers fans an opportunity to say the Oilers are dirty. Like, that's it.
Exactly.
That's it. That's the only thing that accomplished.
Yeah.
Right.
And honestly, that's rich coming from that fan base and that team.
Yeah.
It is.
No. I mean, and that's about it. Like, other than that, I think I'm all right with it. It's fine. You get that out of your system. Like, they had one shot at it. You're gonna take it then and there, get it out of your system. Break a couple sticks, do what you need to do, and then move on. Right?
Yeah, and they're all pros. They'll put it behind them, and we'll play some hockey in game 4. Yeah. Right? Boys will be boys. It is what it is.
And the other part is they had a couple nights off, right? They're not going into it after one night rest, right? Like, they had a couple nights off. I just don't think that there's any part of the Oilers that is left in as part of it. Like, they're going to come out hopefully significantly more disciplined. I wonder. I wonder how much of a leash Evander Kane gets, though, if he, or, if he can stay. Like, I think if he takes an early penalty, we might see him benched for at least a period, maybe 2.
It's one of those things that you kind of have to expect with that particular player. Like, that Kane is one of those guys that walks the line like that, likes to play physical, but he will take the odd stupid penalty. And he took 2 of them last night, or not last night, game 3. He took 2 of them in game 3. And that really didn't help our cause in the first period.
No, not at all. Go ahead, Patrick.
Yes, Andy, it is so freaking annoying. I'm with you.
That's just, for those listening in. Andy says, "Is it just me, or is that dang cat sound effect after every Panther goal so freaking annoying?" I mean, anytime the Panthers score, I'm annoyed. So it wouldn't matter. Like,
they do overuse it, though. Like, okay, just sparingly, okay.
Like, throughout all the pregame intros too, after every Panther introduction, you got the cat sound going.
Yeah. Maybe they should do a little like get a little meow, like a kitten meow every time the Panthers score in Edmonton. Yeah. Hopefully I don't score at all. All right, guys, we're in the last half hour. We don't know if Bob's coming back or not. Randy Cat asks, was a penalty called when Bennett cross-checked Draisaitl in the back of the net from behind? I was just watching the replay. You remember that one?
I go out on a limb and say no. I don't remember the play particularly, but
Yeah, I
there
don't
was a
think
bit
so.
of an exchange between those two in the first period. I think Leon kind of got his elbow up and kind of came over the top with his fists, kind of like Bennett did to Stolars in round two. Like there was a bit of back and forth there. Maybe it's not even the play I'm thinking of.
Oh, look at that! Hey, it went over top of his. Look at you.
Bye,
Never
Ryan.
looked at it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an improvement.
Yeah. It's like, here, I'm trying to. Who the hell is producing this show? There we go. Sorry about that, but yeah, no, you look good though for a second. Oh man! All right. It's the last half hour. It's late, late here in Atlantic Canada. How are the 6:00 starts in Edmonton? What's that like?
It's nice, right? Like you get to go home and go to bed at a decent hour as long as the game doesn't go to double overtime. But it makes getting downtown on time to get into Moss Pit and Fan Park a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, I mean that's the part that I wonder, right? Like you got rush hour happening from like 5 to 6 and you're trying to get somewhere to watch the game. Hopefully folks are letting people leave early for the Oilers game. I mean we're talking 7 game nights at most and a couple of those on weekends, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's the weeknight games have been a little easier to get into. Like you can show up there at 4:30, 5 o'clock and still get in. Friday night game though, that was very busy. And yeah, if you weren't there early, you were having a tough time getting in.
Yeah.
But they opened up the fan park a little bit because of the concerts for the home games anyway. So they've got more capacity now. So a little easier that way too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I mean it's nice out here in Atlantic Canada, 9:00 start. It's not too bad, especially if it goes into double overtime, then it's a regular game night for me out here to watch. But yeah, I just it just feels so weird to tune into the Oilers so early. And I keep thinking about that. Like if I'm working downtown Edmonton and they're not letting me off at 3:30 or 4:00 on a game night, well, I'm looking for a new job. Right? Would be
Priorities.
yeah, it's like man, you know. Roxy Mama says people go to work during the playoffs in Edmonton. What? Yeah,
They
it should be a
attend. I
holiday.
don't know how much work they get done, but
Yeah, should be a holiday.
Yeah, work is a loose term for what happens, I think.
Yeah, I remember 2006, and I'd love to understand kind of what the feeling is out there in Edmonton right now. But in 2006, as the Oilers kept going through the playoffs, during game days, like at about 4:30, you could just start to feel the excitement in the city. And I remember driving, like I was living in South Edmonton at the time, and there were people on street corners with bells and Oilers jerseys and ringing bells and signs that said honk for the Oilers and all of that. Is it something like that right now?
It's not too far off from that. Like people are wearing jerseys to the office. People are wearing the Oilers gear anywhere you go on a game day. Being in the downtown core at lunchtime on a game day, you can definitely feel it, especially the home games when you had the media personalities walking around. Like I crossed paths with Bob Stauffer and Frank Saravalli downtown before game one, so that was kind of fun. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if excitement is the right word. Like maybe it's just my own personal feeling because I'm kind of feeling like the players like the moment isn't as big as it was last year. So like I'm just like intense, focused. I'm in game mode. I'm not necessarily like excited butterflies. I just want to get where I'm going to watch and enjoy it. But you can see the vibes are definitely high. Like people are excited.
Patrick, you're on holidays. You're out in London, Ontario. What's the deal out there? Did you see any Oilers? The Knights and the Oilers have a long history.
They do.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you see any Oilers jerseys around? People, were you wearing any Oilers paraphernalia or merch while you were out there? And people saying "Go Oilers" or there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been wearing that one today. I haven't seen much, but everyone I've run into that I've talked to about it is cheering for the Oilers. So I think the Canada's team is a thing out here anyway. I think we know it's not as much probably in Calgary and Vancouver and places like that, but I think a lot of Leafs fans and other teams fans really switch over to the Oilers out here. So all my extended family out here is cheering for the Oilers and they're excited for them. So I think for a lot of people, they are Canada's team right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say the interesting thing here, and I don't know what it's like, again in Edmonton right now, but everybody knows I'm an Oilers fan here. There's nobody in my circle of influence that doesn't know I'm an Oilers fan. It is, the crazy thing is people don't talk to me when the Oilers are winning. But man, do they love, asking me about, well, what's wrong with the Oilers, right? And I'm kind of pretty even keel, like, the oil, like they've been, even after the 2 games in LA, right? I kind of felt like the Oilers had more to give, and they did. They proved it. The reverse sweep, right? The Oilers went into the LA series. People thought, okay, LA. Some really crazy people thought LA were going to win that series, right?
I don't know
And
what kind of crazy people would have said that.
You ever watched the first round before? Jeez.
that's right. And then, then the Knights, listening to NHL radio, Oilers were, they couldn't beat the Knights, right? Like the Knights were going to be too much, right? And that was reasonably simple for the Oilers. Then the Dallas Stars came. Well, the way that they dispatched everybody else during the playoffs, Colorado, Rantanen was going to be the difference maker, and Skinner wasn't going to be able to get it done in net. We know what happened there.
Oops.
The Oilers win. Oilers win Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals, and listening to NHL radio, and it's like they're going to sweep the series. They lose Game 2 in overtime, and all of a sudden, the Oilers have no answer for Florida. Even though that game was pretty even. Could have went 50-50 either way, and I contend the Oilers had the better chances in overtime. The one chance that, and it was kind of a bit of a lucky goal. Game 3 is the only game in this whole playoff so far where the Oilers didn't look like the Oilers. Right? And Game 1. This looked a lot like the Kings Game 1 without Connor putting the team on his back and doing the comeback, right?
That's the difference between the Panthers and Kings, though.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's huge.
Yeah.
Panthers are a great team.
Mm-hmm.
They're built for this type of play. But I think the Oilers have been good all playoffs long at adjustments. And when a game like that, you make big adjustments. You make adjustments. Maybe not big adjustments, but you make adjustments. Stetcher coming in or whatever. The Oilers have. They ability. They still got Skinner sitting in the wings, right? They can bring him in, Stetcher in. I think that's pretty good. There's talk about Hyman being out, how big that is. It is huge. It's a massive loss for the Oilers, but I just think that they've got the rest of the pieces that they can make a little bit of adjustments on here. And yeah, you know. Anyway, I mean, thoughts, Ryan. What's your thoughts on? I said I think that McDavid and Draisaitl are going to have their biggest games of the playoffs next game tomorrow night. Thoughts on that?
I hope you're right, because they're going to need to, right? The depth scoring seems to have dried up a little bit, which they got hot through most of the playoffs, and we might. We probably still would have got here with a little less from the bottom six, but they were a big part of why we're here. But everyone coming into the series is saying that McDavid and Draisaitl aren't going to let this team lose 2 years in a row. They're going to will his team to victory, and we're going to have to see that happen. And they can make the biggest difference on the road. Right now, we need to win one in Florida because Florida won one in Edmonton. So we got to find a way to win a road game somehow, and it's got to be on the backs of those two guys. Just has to.
Yeah. I mean, your best guys have to be your best guys.
Yeah,
right?
they're the two best players in the world, right?
And
there should be
no
no
surprise,
opponent that can contain them for a 7-game series.
Yeah, and I think that's a thing to be excited about as an Oilers fan, right? Like we've never seen McDavid really go more than one game where he's been, inconsequential to a game.
He didn't score until game 4 last year, and he still got 11 points in the series.
Yeah. He's going to come back. He's going to be exciting to watch. Randy says, would like to see a 8-1 Oilers win like last year this Saturday.
I would love to see that too.
Hopefully that's the swing game they need, right? Yeah. I mean, this is the thing that the fans, some of the fans need to understand, and the the analysts, right? Although it's just that the Oilers have been undervalued, I think, this whole playoffs until they got to the Stanley Cup Final. Then everybody's like, well, maybe they're serious, right? And then they lose, one game in overtime, and it's like everything's falling down, and every team. The Florida Panthers lost a game, just like Randy Katz says, 8-1 in the Stanley Cup Finals last year. But they still won the Stanley Cup. It happens. It happens to the best of the best. You're going to have a 6-1 blowout eventually, right? And if the Oilers can get the win tomorrow night, they're back to home game advantage. To Patrick's point, it's 2 of the next 3 are in Edmonton.
Yeah. I saw somewhere today that the 84 Oilers lost the game 6-1 in the final, and we know how that turned out.
Yeah. I mean, this is I in my head I can't see McDavid and Draisaitl not putting on like the extra effort. And they've had a couple of nights, right? Like they'll be rested up and ready to go, and we know McDavid needs it. He's played a lot of minutes. Right? And there's no doubt that plays into it. You've got you've played 7 periods of hockey, or 9 periods of hockey before they get to Florida, and you've got that flight to Florida, which is not easy. And you get in when you're McDavid. He's played 3 games of hockey and a few nights in a big flight to Florida, right? Like, yeah, he was bound to have a bad game. We'll see what happens. Patrick, what's your we're closing in on the end here. What's your thoughts going into game 4?
Well, Well, I've been predicting that it's going to be the best game we've seen for them all playoffs long. I think they see the opportunity that's in front of them, and they know how badly they played in Game 3. So basically, just all we've been saying. I think we see the best from McDavid, see the best from Draisaitl. Not that the Panthers are just going to go away; they're going to have to play at their best if they're going to take them down. But if you can get this series tied, as I mentioned, 2-2, going back to Edmonton, you got Game 5 and Game 7 on home ice. That's basically like having a sixth guy on the ice there for you. That crowd can definitely will them. So win Game 4, win Game 5. Panthers are bound to push back at that point. They probably win Game 6. Take this in Game 7 in Edmonton, I think, is probably their road to victory here. But if they can do it quicker, great. But winning Game 4 is where it's got to start.
Ryan, thoughts on this?
Yeah, and I think they fully understand just how important Game 4 is, right? You lose this game, and suddenly the Panthers have a chance to close this out at Rogers Place on Saturday. And I don't think anybody associated with the Oilers wants that, right? So we know we're going to get a good, solid effort from the Oilers in Game 4. And historically, they've been really good in Game 4s. So like we know they're going to bring a really good effort. It doesn't guarantee anything, right? Past success doesn't always mean future success, but we know we're going to get a good effort from the boys tomorrow night.
Yeah, I just can't see anything but, right? Especially the way the game went down. Like I'm all right with it. I'm all right with the way the game went down. If you're gonna get blown out, get blown out. Go down.
And they
with
got
the
lots of
fight
good
and-
game tape to look at for what not to do.
Yeah,
Right? They saw Florida Sport Check being very efficient and effective, and they realized that you can't jam the puck up the wall on the strong side against the Panthers because they got three guys on that wall. If you get it by one guy, you're not getting it by the second and the third guy. And if you're going to reverse the puck to the weak side, which I think you really need to start doing more often, you got to do it quicker because their weak side winger is anticipating the play. So, the Panthers are really good at doing that, and they read off each other really well. But just got to anticipate it coming and make the right decisions out there. We got lots of tape on what not to do, so learn from it, adjust for Game 4.
and you don't need any more motivation.
If they're not motivated at this point, they shouldn't be playing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
This is kind of if Connor McDavid's legitimately worried about his legacy, then tomorrow night is a big deal. And that's why I'm like I can't see this being anything but one of the biggest games he's ever played. This is his chance to show, the leadership that a Sidney Crosby showed, right? That Ovechkin showed in the Stanley Cup, that Nathan McKinnon showed, right? Like this is his chance to put his mark on the series and make it the turning point for the Oilers to get home game advantage again. This is maybe Connor McDavid's biggest game of his whole career.
Yeah, legacy defining.
And I just can't see it being anything but the biggest game that he'll have played. Like this is if Amazon wants to take some video, take it tomorrow. Right? Like this is going to be huge. I don't think that line matchups are going to change anything. It's just going to be the McDavid show tomorrow. We're going to and if it isn't, then I'd just be surprised. This is his chance to show a ton of leadership. Of course, he can't play for the whole team, but he can drag the team with him.
Yeah. Well, they all know. I mean, it can't just be Connor. They all got to follow his lead.
Yeah, and they have to, right? Like they legitimately have to. This is it. I mean, this is you can't go 3 games to 1. It's not going to happen like last year. right? That, there's not going to be a magical comeback again. I hate to say it. Tomorrow night's game is bigger than, any game last year, right? Like there's no comeback this year. Oilers win tomorrow night. I think they win the series. If they lose, I hate to say it, but I think Florida wins. I think that's it. You can't go down 3-1 2 years in a row against, it wasn't 3 games. It was 3-0 last year, but Florida's that good, and they'll have that memory in there, from last year. This series could still go 7 if the Oilers win tomorrow. I have no doubt, but I just can't. It is easily the most important game that they've played.
The only thing that, like as I've mentioned a few times, that would work in their favor, even if they go down 3-1, is that they do have 2 of the 3 at home. So that might be enough to push them to win 3 straight games. That would be the difference from last year, where they don't have to play Game 7 in Florida. But still, you don't want to be back in that situation again.
Either way, you got to win one in Florida, right?
Yeah.
If we can take one in Game 4, that makes our lives a lot easier. If we have to wait till Game 6 to do it, well, it'll be a lot more stressful, but they could theoretically do it that way. But you also still have to take care of business at home. They can't afford to lose at home again. I mean, if they lose at home again, yikes.
Yeah. No, it's not like free passes at home, but I'm just saying, like, the difference is that 2 of the 3 would be at home, so that might be a bit more helpful in making the comeback.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it would be helpful, I think. I can't see the Panthers not taking the series if they're up with the stranglehold game.
Yeah, we talk about the lessons the Oilers learned from last year. I'm sure the Panthers learned some lessons about what it takes to close out a series as well.
Yeah. But this is a different Oilers team. They have the skill, they've got the tools to win this series. We can't count them out. I feel like they're going to win tomorrow night. Yeah, I'm an Oilers fan, so of course, if we do predictions, I'm taking the Oilers.
You're so biased, Michael.
Yeah, I know. Damn it. But I've been right 2 years in a row. They got to the finals. Right? It's more than I can say for some people.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. All right. We got like 3-4 minutes left. We'll just do around the horn. I'll start. Final thoughts on the game tomorrow. First off, I think we've talked about it, and the more we talk about it, the more I think I want to see Stetcher in tomorrow. I'd love to see Skinner in for somebody other than Nugent Hopkins. Hopefully Nuge is back in again tomorrow. But if he's not, then I think we'd see Skinner, and I wouldn't mind seeing Skinner in for Frederick or anybody on that bottom bit there. I'd love to see Connor Brown regain some of his form, that difference-making form that he's had, and I think we'll see tomorrow night. We're going to see Connor McDavid play a ton of minutes if they need that, right? And I think we're going to see him have the best game maybe of his career, and Leon Draisaitl should have an amazing game as well. Oilers are going to be a lot more disciplined. I can't see it being any other way. And as I mentioned before, I do think if Evander Kane takes some type of penalty in that first period, we might see a little less of him in Game 4 than we've seen of him in the playoffs so far. Just to keep things under control. And the Oilers can't be a parade to the penalty box. But I think with the way that I believe McDavid's going to be playing, I think it might actually go the other way for a change. So we'll see what happens. I would play Stuart Skinner in net. The Game 4 thing's a big deal. And Skinner's calm and collected, and I think he's the guy. So that's all my thoughts. Ryan, we'll go to you, and then Patrick will give you the last word tonight. We'll be back. I don't know. Let's we'll try to get back maybe before. I don't know. Friday night's a hard night to get on the air. We'll try to get on, though, depending on how tomorrow night's game goes. We'll try to get back on before game 5. Ryan, go ahead.
Yeah, we talk about how huge this game is. If the Oilers are going to win this one, it's going to be on the back of Connor McDavid, and Leon's going to have to pitch in as well. Special teams are going to have to figure it out. Like the Panthers' PK has been pretty good against the Oilers' power play so far, and the Oilers can figure that out. And I don't think the Panthers are throwing anything at them that they can't handle, but they got to figure it out. Oilers' PK has to be better, and a way that they can help that is stay out of the box, as we talked about. 4 penalties in the first period, 7 that weren't involved in any of the garbage that happened after the 10-minute mark of the third last game. Stay out of the box, clean things up on special teams, figure out the Panthers forecheck, move the puck a little quicker 5-on-5. There's your recipe for success. I'm with you starting Stuart Skinner for game 4. Let the man cook. He does what he does in game 4s. But I'm going to say that you got to have a short leash. You can't, not one thing I don't love about Knobloch is he's always hesitant to pull the goalie in situations where it's probably warranted, or even if it's just to wake the team up. So I wouldn't hesitate this time because, you've got Pickard, who didn't love the goal he gave up, but it was a power play goal, so whatever. But yeah, that's your recipe for game 4 win for the Oilers. So go out and get it done, boys. And look out for content on heavyhockey.com throughout the finals. There's the odd day I've taken off, but I'm trying to do one a day throughout the finals here. So look out for that. And with that, I'll pass it on to Patrick.
All right, Patrick, it's up to you to kind of give the momentum here back to the Oilers and close us off for tonight. So it's on your shoulders now.
Oh, great. Well, to echo what we've been saying all the show here, I mean, yeah, it's got to be Connor. It's got to be Leon. If Stu's the guy, he's got to be in there, give his best performance so far. And he's been incredible in some games. Other games, we've been looking for more. But I'm with you, Lotzie. I think he's got to have a short leash. I was kind of been leaning back and forth who I want to start. And it's probably going to be Skinner. I was kind of thinking Pickard more in my own personal opinion. But if it's most likely that we see Skinner for game 4, but he's got to have a short leash. I liked your thoughts earlier about possibly 11-7, take a guy like Trent Frederick out, and hopefully if Nuge can go, bring Skinner in as well. It's going to take everybody. I think everyone's just got to find their role here. We got to see it right from the top to the bottom. Connor's got to lead the way, but it can't be just him. Everyone's got to follow his lead, and I think if they can win game 4, they're looking great going into the final 3 games of this series, but a lot hinges on tomorrow night's game. And I hate to use the term must win, but it's pretty much a must win for these Edmonton Oilers. So those are kind of my thoughts there. As always, you guys can follow me on social media at Oilers Fanatic YT on X, Instagram, and I, of course, run the Oilers Fanatic on YouTube with game reviews, Oilers news. Have everything covered there for you guys on the Oilers Fanatic. Thanks for joining us tonight. Have a great night.
Oilerslive.